It's the lowest of lows followed by the highest of highs for Teoscar Hernandez as the Dodgers come back to beat the Phillies in Game 1 of the NLDS. Let's talk about it.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into MLB Game Night, where we cover every single game, every single night, as only the Locked On Podcast Network can do it. I'm your host, Lindsey Crosby, host of the Locked On Braves Postcast over on Locked On Sports Atlanta. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. At a handsome fellow in the Expos cap is Steve Linux, host of the Locked On Red Sox Postcast. Follow him on the X at Linux on Baseball. And fantastic day of baseball, Steve. 4 postseason games. I want to talk about all of these. Before we do that, though, MLB Game Night's brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. It wasn't the first game chronologically, but the game that I think I was most excited about, I talked about it a little bit in our preview last night, was the Los Angeles Dodgers in Citizens Bank Park to take on the Phillies. I'm going to call him an everydayer because we had him every single day. Here's Connor Thomas from Locked On Phillies about how that went for Philadelphia.
The Phillies fall 5-3 to the Dodgers in Game 1, and Rob Thompson cost the Philadelphia Phillies this game. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. The managerial decisions tonight were not good enough to win a playoff baseball game against that quality of opponent. I don't understand putting David Robertson back out for another inning after he got the out that he was in the game for. I don't understand pinch hitting Nick Castellanos for Harrison Bader, making your outfield defense worse, giving you less of a chance to get a hit. I mean, those are two decisions that make absolutely no sense for Rob Thompson. I don't know if he's cracking under the pressure of what this run should be for the Phillies. I don't know if he just doesn't get it. But in Game 1, he was not good enough. The Phillies bullpen was not good enough. And they're now down 1-0, losing a game at home, which is normally a way to lose a series. It's a terrible start for the Phillies, and they're going to have to find a way to get it done the rest of the way, I guess. We'll talk more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
Okay, so 5-3 loss by LA. Before we get to LA, let's talk about those two things that Connor pulled up, because I think there's explanations on both of these. The Bader one is easy, right? He left the game. They said after later that it was a left hamstring strain. So the Bader thing, he was feeling it in the dugout. They went ahead and pinch hit for him. I think that's explainable. But we see this sometimes with relievers where you bring a guy in a jam. In this case, Max Muncy's up to bat. David Robertson comes in, runner on second in a 1-run game. Robertson gets out of it, 6 pitches, gets the ground out of Max Muncy, and then they send him back out. Do you have to be cognizant of how the adrenaline dump works there and cut him off? Or do you tell him when you go out, I want you to try to be available for the next inning too?
That's the X that we don't know of what the conversations are in the dugout. Robertson, I'm sure, likely, and the cameras usually go to the dugout, was told almost immediately, hey, you're going back out there. Maybe it's one batter or whatever. But, Strom ultimately gives up the home run to Teoscar Hernandez. Mm-hmm. But, are you better off having Strom start that inning? You could look at it now and say, yeah. Robertson should have gotten that one out behind Sanchez and been done for the night. But again, this is a 5-game series. You're trying to get as many outs as you can from as few pitchers as you can in a lot of instances. Right. But manager's always going to have more information than we are as fans, and as broadcasters or whatever, reporters in the ballpark. They're looking at different things. And Robertson knows how to go back to the dugout and get ready to come back, go to the dugout and then come back out for the next inning. Didn't get the job done. Got the job done initially. Didn't get the job done when he went back out there.
Yeah. And The broadcast did a great job, but I don't normally give Jeff Francoeur's broadcast a lot of credit. That's just
Frenchie.
me, Frenchie, but did a lot of really good at pointing out that Strom usually had clean innings in the regular season. He wasn't coming in mid-inning and inheriting somebody's runner. He, for the most part, he was the guy that was coming in to start the inning. I do think that, to your point on talking to David Robertson, if the plan is to have him go back out, Rob Thompson has to tell him when you hand him the ball on the mound. You can't tell him after he's in the dugout, because you may have already pushed the adrenaline, dumped it, and been done. So I do think that that's something to kind of, I mean, if that is suspect, that's
and to your point, he may have said that, during their time off coming into Sunday's action. Or I'm sorry, Saturday's action. Hey, you may come in to finish off an inning, get that final out, but we may send you back out there. That could have happened earlier in the day.
True.
But I agree with you. Hey, you're coming. This isn't just a 1-out situation. We're gonna need to get multiple outs from you. Unfortunately, when we went back out there, didn't get a single out.
Yeah, and that was a death blow there. And all right, so I do want to talk about Teoscar a little bit here, okay? Because like I said in the cold open, highest of highs, lowest of lows here. So Teoscar, he's the one that JT Realmuto's two RBI triple is hit to. And he has what I'm gonna charitably call a pathetic effort to get to the ball. It gets past him, gets all the way to the wall.
Yep.
And you'd have to think that if he can cut that ball off before it gets to the wall, there's a chance they hold one of those runners at third. So it's, instead of a two-run triple, it's a one-run double. And so the next batter, the sac fly, gets you a second run, but it keeps a run off the board for Philly. I'd like to think, at least.
But even if the 2-run score on there, you've got to keep Realmuto at second base. I mean, that's the catcher.
Yeah.
So that's where I looked at that one.
True. He is a good running catcher. He's a good base runner. He steals bases. He's a good base running catcher. But yeah, the issue there, and this has been a problem kind of all season for LA, is just the outfield defense and right field from Teoscar Hernandez. But you can't put him at designated hitter because that's Shohei's spot. And this is what you have to deal with when you have a full-time DH. And this is what comes up. And it's unfortunate there. Obviously, he paid off. And you had a great note here in our thing, in our rundown. 3 postseason games so far for Teoscar Hernandez. 3 home runs, 9 RBI. I don't think they care if he even has a glove in the field if he's doing 3 homers and 9 RBI in the first 3 postseason games. But definitely something to watch for going forward. Can he continue to pay off or to make up for defensive lapses in right field?
Dave Roberts knows what he has out there, right?
Yeah.
You hope, if you're a Dodger fan, that doesn't come back to bite you. And it could very well, something happen. Throws the wrong base, doesn't get to a ball, gets by him in a corner at Citizens Bank or at Dodger Stadium. Things have happened, and they've watched him do different things in the outfield where you just want to scratch your head. But he's carrying the big bat right now, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. The pitching for LA here, I kind of want to Shohei, 6 innings, 3 hits. Again, 3 earned runs. Probably could have been 2, but still. 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. Fantastic performance. After the Realmuto triple, he retired 10 straight batters and 15 of the final 17. Perfectly fine. That's fine. Tyler Glasnow giving you 1 2/3. Do you think that situation should have been, hey, if he's starting game 3 is what they've been talking about, he might be the game 3 starter. Do you just run him an inning and then pull him and give Fezzi a clean inning?
Yeah, and they talked about it on the broadcast of the possibility of Glasnow finishing the game out behind Shohei Ohtani. That wasn't the case. Vesia did a great job to leave the bases loaded, and then Sasaki got the job done in the 9th inning as well. Again, I give, you can second guess. If that came back to bite him, you second guess Dave Roberts all day long. but they got the job done. Those guys understand right now, get the job done. And Vesia, again, he's coming to the game thinking, I've got one batter to face here. He gets the pinch hitter Sosa, who has had a good season for the Phillies. But he gets him on a fly out and they strand the bases loaded. And offensively, I mean, Schwarber didn't do a whole heck of a lot. Bryce Harper basically putting it on the offense that they didn't do enough to win game one as well. And, Sasaki, gives up a double in the ninth inning, but again, a 2-run cushion. He could be a gem for them the rest of the way, as they're now 3-0 in the postseason.
Yeah, and he's looked absolutely fantastic. These two teams will meet back up on Monday night. First pitch at 6:08 p.m. Blake Snell versus Jesus Luzardo. That's a heck of a matchup. That's going to be tons of fun. Just a couple flame-throwing lefties out there doing their thing. All right, in just a minute, I want to talk about Yankees, Blue Jays. That game was surprising. And then from there, Cubs, Brewers. Two games that were blowouts. We'll break those down next right here on MLB Game Night. This episode's brought to you by Prize Picks. Every day we make decisions, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. Don't miss the excitement of this MLB postseason with Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Because playing Prize Picks is such a fun and simple way to add more excitement to baseball. You just pick more or less on player projections, like Aaron Judge's total bases or Shohei Ohtani's strikeouts, and you're in the game. I love how quick it is. You can make your lineup in under a minute. It's also fun to follow other players in the app and copy their lineups with one click. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Lindsey Crosby, Steve Lennox here with you on MLB Game Night. All right, so two blowouts in the early matchups. Yankees, Blue Jays. Let's start with that one first. Blue Jays 10-1. Vlad Guerrero got it started with a homer in the first. Alejandro Kirk had one in the second. And then they rolled a lot late. 4 in the seventh, 4 in the eighth. The pivotal moment of the game to me, if the Yankees were going to try to do something, felt like it was the top of the sixth, right? Yeah. Bases loaded, nobody's out. Aaron Judge strikes out. Cody Bellinger walks in a run, but then Ben Rice pops out, and then Giancarlo Stanton strikes out. We talked about this yesterday, I think, a little bit, but Judge and Stanton have to be able to come through for you in those situations. And if they don't, again, it feels like the story of this game is Judge didn't come through. Vlad Guerrero had a homer and 3 hits. And a great catch on a liner in the second. And so it kind of feels like the difference is your star, Toronto star starred, New York star did not star.
Yeah, and I mean that catch by Vladdy to double off Chisholm early on in the game that you referenced, that was phenomenal. I mean, he gets up, I'm like, he looks so much different than he did a couple of years ago. I mean, his body's just changed so much. Yeah. That was his first home run. Yeah, in a good way. It's his first home run since early September, and I believe that was against the Yankees as well. But, remember, too, to the Red Sox series, the Game 1 victory for the Red Sox, Yankees had bases loaded, nobody out against Chapman, and he got out of that in the bottom half of the ninth inning. So this lineup right now, Grisham's not doing much. Stanton's not doing a lot. And Judge has 6 hits, but I believe 1 double. The rest are singles. If you can keep him on it, you want to keep being a singles hitter, go right ahead. We'll let you get on base. We're just not going to let you score.
That team, I'm not too worried about their base running. Stanton's possibly the slowest player in the league. He has catcher speed.
Station to station.
Exactly. Speaking of Stanton, by the way, first 4 games of the postseason, he's 1 for 15 with a double and 3 strikeouts. But this matchup here, this is going to be Max Fried versus Trey Yesavage, the rookie, making his, at 4:08 tomorrow. So on Sunday.
Quick question for you.
Yes.
I put it in the rundown. Why is John Schneider using Jeff Hoffman in the 9th inning? I did not like that. And I don't do that a lot, but I did not like that one because you've seen him before. You have the book on him. But if he's got to come back out there on Sunday, now you've seen him 2 days in a row. I'd rather see him for the first time in a long time on Sunday when you have a chance to go up 2-0 in the series, not in a 10-1 game. I thought that was not a smart move.
I forget where I read about this, but somebody recently has done some work on relievers and when hitters see them multiple times in a series and how their performance decays over time. So I agree with you. It was, I guess it was something, I mean, I can't really think of, the only thing I can think of is that he was already up and starting to throw in the 7th when they scored 4 runs.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, if you're going to get hot, we're going to use you. But when the 4 runs happen, just shut them down. Like, hey,
Right.
now we're up by, now we're up by 5, back off a little bit and just maybe try to save them for tomorrow. I kind of agree with you. I wouldn't have put him in there in that situation. Speaking of kind of the situations guys were in, Cubs at Brewers. Brewers scored 6 runs in the first inning, 3 more in the second for a 9-3 win. We do have, I forgot we had this, we do have something from our friends over at Locked On Brewers.
And with that, the Brewers take game 1 of their series with the Cubs. Hey, everybody, Chuck Freeman, it's the reaction. Locked On Brewers. Yeah, everybody took a deep breath after Bush led off the game for the Cubs with a home run off of Peralta. And the Brewers came back, bottom of the first inning, put up 6 runs, and then 3 more in the second. They chased Boyd, the starter. They got the Soroka as well, made Counsell go to the bullpen, and it was a beautiful thing. The Brewers did it without a home run. Yeah, this nonsense of the Brewers can't win postseason games without a home run. They had 3 doubles to start this game, as Churiel led off the game with a double, followed by Terang, and then Contreras, and the Brewers were off and rolling. Cubs had an error in that game, and they were on their way to handily winning game 1 of this series. Now, Peralta pitches into the 6th inning, was great, despite giving up that leadoff home run, struck out a franchise-tying 9 Ks, the 9 Ks for the postseason. But the sad part, though, Churiel was having a great game, pulled up lane with a hamstring. They're calling it hamstring tightness right now. He's going to have it checked out. Hopefully some more news a little bit later on tonight when we drop the next edition of Locked On Brewers. But Brewers take game 1. We'll see you later on tonight on the next edition of
That cut off short. All right, so I'm conflicted on the Jackson Churiel hamstring injury because if you listen to the post-game quotes from different people involved in this, there's different levels of concern, right? Pat Murphy says, quote, could be devastating. And then Jackson Churiel was like, physically, I feel good. It was a little more precautionary to come out of the game. Let me ask you.
I got my 3 hits. Take the rest of the day off.
Exactly. Like, he got 3 hits in the first 2 innings. I think I saw a stat. Maybe it was Sarah Langs, as always. First time in baseball history, a guy's had 3 hits in the first 2 innings of a playoff game.
Yeah.
But level of concern for the Cubs. Okay. Matthew Boyd, walk, 4 hits, records 2 outs. Again, 6 runs, only 2 are earned. Are we chalking this up to he was going on 3 days rest, or is this something to legitimately be concerned about?
You know what? This is why I'm not completely concerned with Craig Counsell and the way he's got his pitching staff right now. I think, 3 days rest, that's a gamble right now. I mean, I would have, at the beginning of the week, I would have said, no starting pitcher. Are we going to hear 3 days rest? Maybe until the World Series. Happens in game 1 for the Cubs and Craig Counsell. But a big thing for me here is Savali out of the bullpen. Remember, he started the year off with the Brewers. 4 1/3 scoreless. So they didn't have to go to the pen time and time again after the starter just got 2 outs in that first inning. So regroup. You've got a day in Milwaukee. You come back on Monday. And again, Savali was a big part of that. You didn't absolutely destroy your bullpen. And they got Sunday and they got Tuesday off before they actually play game 3 of the series at Wrigley Field.
Yeah. And neither team.
I have that right? Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Wednesday,
they're
Thursday.
off. Yeah, they're off Sunday and Tuesday. Neither team has announced a starter for Monday. But to your point, Savali did a good job. Can we officially call this a revenge game for Aaron Savali? It's his former team. That's the thing we always look at on this show.
I forgot to look it up, but hey, he wanted out of Milwaukee. They sent him to the other side of Chicago to start,
the White
right?
Sox, yeah. The White Sox. The White
and
Sox
ends up with the Cubs
across town.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of a thing there. Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out now is the bigger injury here. Okay, so Jackson Churiel for the Brewers, who it feels like he says it's tightness. It's precautionary. He thinks he'll be okay. Versus Harrison Bader for the Phillies, where they flat out said hamstring strain, which tells me he might not come back in this series. And we'll know it if they make a roster move. They don't play again until Monday. They have time to figure this out. I want to get your thoughts. My initial thought is Phillies outfield defense has been so much worse than Milwaukee's. So losing Harrison Bader is a big deal because now that kicks Brandon Marsh to center or Edmund. It's the outfield defense is significantly worse when you put Castellanos in a full-time role again versus Jackson Chourio, who is a dynamic all-around player, but they have other guys to cover for him on defense at least.
Yeah, and their mentality is next man up, and he did miss a lot of time in August after he suffered the injury as well. I think Bader, and when you initially said it with Bader, when we were talking about Game 1, Dodgers-Phillies, and you said, the way it is, the way they characterize it, he's going to be down for a while. And he does anchor that defense. He makes it a lot better. And his bat played as well after being traded.
He hit over 300 with Philly.
Yeah. So I think that's a bigger one because Milwaukee just says, okay, come back when you're ready. We've got other guys, and that mentality, and that's from their manager. But again, as you said, Murphy's like, hey, Chourio's out. He's, we'll see him in spring training, 2026. But I heard Chourio. He was in Spanish. The translator was there, and I felt like the translator was even like, are you sure? Hey, this is what he's saying. It's a precaution. It's all these different things. Was happy the team won. So you're playing with house money to a certain degree for Milwaukee because you got the victory. So again, we're going to keep you out of the lineup, and try to end the series as quickly as possible. I'm not saying sweep right now, but if you don't have to go 5, end it in 4.
Definitely helps give you some extra time off. All right, in just a minute, I want to talk about Tigers-Mariners. We're going to hear from both Scott Bentley and Ty Dane Gonzalez about this one.
Love it.
We'll do that next right here on MLB Game Night. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You just pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love because FanDuel gives me so many ways to play. I've built parlays. I've tried player props. I've even followed the live lines during games. And it makes sports just a little more exciting when you've got something writing on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Welcome back to MLB Game Night. Lindsey Crosby, Steve Lennox, breaking down all of the action from Saturday. And the final game of the day was the one that went to extra innings, as usually happens when you and I host Game Night. The last game of the day is the one that takes longer to go. We have to wait to go live. But it was worth it. Tigers-Mariners was a fantastic battle. I'm going to start us off with Scott Bentley from Locked On Tigers, all about ALDS Game 1.
11 innings of battle, of war later. The Detroit Tigers come out on top and take a 1-0 lead in ALDS. I am Scott Bentley, host of Locked On Tigers. The entire outlook of this series just changed. And I'm not trying to be overly dramatic after one game, but I'm going to be here. Everybody and their mother was picking the Mariners to win this series. Understandably so. They're the better team on paper. The Tigers have eliminated Seattle's home field advantage and have Scooble going tomorrow in Game 2 on the road. And then even if they fumble along the way, either in Game 2 or in one of the 2 home games in Detroit, they can throw Scooble again in Game 5. Dare I say, they are in the driver's seat. They are now in command of this series. Kerry Carpenter with a fantastic big home run. He is now 5 for 11 with 5 home runs off of George Kirby. That is the definition of I got your number. And then Zach McKinstry, who's had a brutal second half along with most of the rest of this team, comes through in the 11th inning to score the go-ahead run. I mean, peak postseason baseball. Peak. This is going to be a fun series, and the Tigers are in command of it. We'll talk about that on the next episode of Locked On Tigers, baby. 1-0.
We'll get to Seattle in just a minute, but the bullpen game, Troy Melton goes 4 innings. It ends up being mostly like a regular game as far as just a short, like a regular postseason game, right? A short start from your starter and you go to the pen. But I think what impressed me is Seattle's always been based off their pitching. Like they've always been, I guess not always, in the last couple seasons, they've been one of the best rotation ERAs in baseball. The bullpen's been full of just filth, and the offense got enough across the board for them to make games, win games, and all that. And this year, it's really kind of been powered by the offense. They've had injuries in the rotation. Brian Woo's not in this series as an example. But today, only 6 hits for Seattle, and all from 2 spots in the order. Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez, 3 hits each, including the solo shot from Julio. It feels like this is obviously the worst possible time to lose your offense, but is Scott right that the balance has shifted in this series now to Detroit after just 1 game?
You'd feel like it because of the guy that we talked about all season long of, wow, the Tigers have taken the first 2 games of the series. They have an opportunity for the series sweep. And who's on the mound? Oh, it's Skubal.
It's Skubal. Yeah.
It's a lock, right?
Yeah.
He's got the potential of pitching game 2, which he's scheduled for, and then game 5 if they have to go back to Seattle. But right now, Scott goes from I can't believe we beat the Guardians, and we beat the Guardians, and we got past the Guardians, and we've exercised demons to, I think Scott right now is putting his head on the pillow tonight thinking this series isn't going back to Seattle for a game 5.
When they come to Comerica, we're sending them home in a box. Yeah. That's kind of the thought there. Very happy for Zach McKinstry that he got that hit there.
Yes.
Flip side for Seattle, I want to hear first from Titan Gonzalez and his thoughts, and then I want to kind of break down what went wrong for them in this one.
Mariners dropped game 1 of the ALDS tonight to the Detroit Tigers, and I am having a very hard time having a positive outlook on the remainder of the series, given what we saw tonight and what's awaiting the Mariners tomorrow. This is Titan Gonzalez, host of the Locked On Mariners podcast here. Another extra innings heartbreaker for the Mariners in the playoffs at T-Mobile Park. This time, a 3-2 loss to the Tigers in 11 innings. The Mariners had 6 hits in this one. They all belonged to Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez. The rest of the Mariners lineup went 0 for 28 with 2 walks on a bullpen night for the Tigers. And that is really the only takeaway that's necessary from this game. And now the worst fear of Mariners fans has been potentially realized as the M's are staring down an 0-2 start to the series with Tarek Skubal taking the bump tomorrow for the Tigers in this ballpark. Hopefully the Mariners can scrape together a better offensive performance against, well, one of the best pitchers in the game tomorrow. We'll see if they can do it. Ben Ranieri of Sea Level and I are about to record a post-game reaction to this one on the Locked On Mariners podcast. Hope to see you there. Peace.
Definitely go check out Locked On Mariners tonight. Watching Seattle, it almost felt like they were a little sloppy, right? Like I'm thinking about the bottom of the 6th, right? So Javier Baez gets that double play. They double up Josh Naylor at first. They had to review everything. They confirmed everything. But it strains Cal Raleigh at third. It felt like every opportunity they had to get a run in, they just could never convert it outside of the Julio Rodriguez solo shot run.
I've rolled my eyes on occasion when I've had AJ Pierzynski and Adam Wainwright together on a broadcast. I thought they did a terrific job in game number 1 of this series, and they pointed out Rodriguez in that situation cannot be tagged out. He's almost got to run back to first base. Make sure that he made it just too easy, ran right into that out. And like you said, they wanted a review on both calls, and both calls were confirmed. The out on the tag and the out at first base, they turned the double play, and Raleigh gets left at third base. You can't do that in the postseason. This isn't May. This isn't June. Just like we opened with Teoscar Hernandez. Don't let these small things come back and bite you, and that you're going to have this in the front of your mind for the next 24 hours before game 2.
Yeah. And like the issue with playing a little sloppy like that and having a quiet offense like they did is you saw George Kirby walking a tightrope, right? 2-out single to Riley Green, but he gets out of it. Runners at second and third in the second inning. He strikes out Parker Meadows to get out of it. Leadoff double to Gleyber Torres in the third. Gets the next three guys out to strand him. Like, he kept just like he 2 for 11. Detroit was 2 for 11 runners in scoring position today. But it's like he could only do so much. And then I think it was a slider that he hung to Kerry Carpenter, and that's what got launched a million miles. It's just Seattle's offense has to be better. I think that's the issue is they did not give him any margin to play with. And even the best pitchers are going to give up something at some point in time. And he finally faltered a little bit, and it was too much.
Yeah. Kirby had Carpenter 0-2, couldn't put him away.
Yeah.
And I as you just did a terrific job going through his outing, they were stress innings.
Yeah.
So you're amped up early on, struck out 3 in the first inning. That slowly takes the gas out of the tank. And maybe it was something mental of all of a sudden, I'm going to get through this batter. I mean, that's a guy you've really got to bear down on. He's owned you. You know that in the back of your mind, in the front of your mind. And I just felt like in those early innings that he was going, that it wasn't, I put the ball in play, get outs, use your defense. Simple enough. But he's a strikeout pitcher, and the pitch count went up, and I think he's certainly tired along the way. He's a great pitcher. I love watching him, but you just know that he's not going to work into the seventh. He's not going to work deep in the game if he's got 7, 8, 9, 10 strikeouts in an outing. For the most part, I'm not saying he can't do it. He hasn't done it, but that was a different animal that he experienced tonight, I think.
It was. Okay. All right. Final note on this here. In postseason history from MLB.com, teams that win game 1 in a best-of-5 series go on to win about 72% of the time. So of the 4 teams that won today, which one of these does not win the series? And I know, right? It's not.
I think
easy.
they're all in great shape. They really set themselves up for this. Especially the Tigers and Dodgers winning on the road. In that sense. I mean, the Mariners and Phillies, they both lose after the layoff.
Yeah.
Offensively, you could say, 0 for 28 outside of Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh. Bryce Harper said, our offense has to wake up. So you could say that layoff may have hurt them just a little bit, but they've certainly got to come back in game 2, and it's certainly not going to be easy against Snell and Mr. Schoolbowl in both series.
Yep. This has been MLB Game Night for Saturday, October 4th. Do us a favor. You're listening on audio. Leave a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell because we will be back tomorrow. MLB Game Night, hosted by Brian McKeon on Sunday to break down both games tomorrow. For Steve Lennox, I'm Lindsey Crosby. This has been MLB Game Night.